Welcome back, everyone. Today we'll be discussing the Jordan 2 A Ma Maniere once again. Specifically, we'll be discussing whether you should sell or hold the Jordan 2 A Ma Maniere and why that is. To preface this, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, be sure to subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you're always 100% updated. Before we start, remember that the limited endurance restock will take place on Friday, June 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Time via the Endurance Twitter. Furthermore, for more urgent updates like the recent shock drop we've seen, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and also personals for you. And of course, for early information before these drops actually occur, you know Endurance has your back. For those who don't know, the Jordan 2 A Ma Maniere releases on May 31st, tomorrow, while other retailers will be dropping later this month. It's just Maniere dropping tomorrow. Retail will be $225, but note that Maniere will charge high shipping for the drop tomorrow at around $25 to $30 most likely. Stock on these is supposed to be lower than what we saw in the Jordan 1 Maniere, but not by a notable amount. In order to determine if the Jordan 2 A Ma Maniere will be a fruitful hold, we will cover an estimated range of what the sneaker will settle at after the drop, and also when shipments come in, essentially all the pairs going into circulation, whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even hypothetically decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time, and finally, what type of margin are we looking at for these in terms of holding. Not the retail to resell initial margin, but rather the hold margin over X period of time. Basically, are these going to be worth your time, even if they do end up going up eventually? Kicking it off, let's discuss the estimated range that these should be settling at. To begin with, again, stock for these is supposed to be lower than the prior Maniere collaboration, but not exactly by a notable amount. Pre-sale looks great, but we must keep in mind that there are hardly any in circulation right now, so it is very common to see inflated prices pre-drop on these big collaboration drops. Bids honestly don't look all that impressive right now. It's looking a little worse than what we saw in the Jordan 2 unions pre-drop, and the same goes for the sale volume as well. Considering the high retail on these, it really isn't that impressive. So given that these are not extremely limited and demand is not looking too impressive for Jordan collaboration, I am expecting these to be profitable, but with a subpar margin in the large sizes. I'm going to be focusing on sizes 10 and up, and if you do have tax, I'd then expect a poor margin. So yeah, it's not really looking too great for these, at least by the time when you actually get your shipments in. Of course, by then the prices will have dropped. We'll go over those precise ranges soon, don't worry. So regarding a specific range, prices have already seen the vast majority of their pre-drop decrease since it is the night before. This leaves the current average at about $404 for sizes 8 to 12, but of course, this is only the pre-drop average. We normally see a notable change post-US drop. This is when we normally experience what I like to refer to as the impulsivity effect. You guys should know what I'm referring to by now, as we discuss this very frequently, yet it almost always still occurs to some degree. Regarding this impulsivity effect, if you haven't watched my seller hold videos before, sneaker drops specifically impact human impulsiveness significantly after an individual fails to acquire that desired product due to insufficient supply and too much demand. Therefore, on average, we normally see about a 5 to 10% increase of the pre-drop prices post-drop. Now that 5 to 10% is not always the case, such as when a sneaker is slightly overvalued. Given that there are hardly any in circulation currently for these Maniere Jordan 2s, I do believe that prices are a little bit inflated right now. This probably won't change that much right after the drop since Maniere takes a while to ship. But regardless, I would not expect a positive impulsivity effect, but rather a minor negative impulsivity effect of about 5% initially. In the hypothetical case that there is a 5% decrease in price, this would leave prices at about $384 on average from 8 to 12. Since that's an average, the big sizes may be touching the low 400 range, with the small sizes in the mid 300 range. Now let's discuss what prices will look like when shipments go out in that 1 to 2 week range. During this period, the vast majority of pairs will be going into circulation, aside from those that will release through Nike sneakers and other retailers. Given that there are hardly any in circulation right now and Maniere has a large chunk of the stock, I'd expect a very notable decrease of about 20%, similar to what we saw on the Union Jordan 2s. This would then hypothetically leave prices at about $307, and again, large sizes will remain the best, so those may still hover in the mid 300 range, while smaller sizes in the high 200s. So that would still leave room to profit, but given the high shipping, it's really nothing too great. Now that the average price ranges at those points in time are evident though, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase from that post-shipment range or even hypothetically continue to decrease. When it comes to these, I feel a pretty useful comparison would be the very recent Jordan 2 unions. These took a hard fall after shipments came out, and on top of that, they actually continued to decrease a little over the following weeks, and they still have not really recovered since then. Given that it seems that these have less demand than the Union 2s, I'd expect at least the same result. So initially a minor decrease after that 1 to 2 week shipment period. Eventually, long term, they should begin increasing in value, but I could definitely see these taking longer than usual for most sneakers. Finally, regarding the hold margin on these, essentially, are these actually going to be worth your time even when they do end up increasing? Well, as I just mentioned, I do believe it may take longer than usual to begin increasing, and on top of that, while profit is not very notable, initial resale is still quite high considering the retail was high itself. So this makes it even more difficult to achieve a notable ROI even when they do end up increasing. Hence, I would rate these very low at 2 out of 10. I am planning to sell my pairs as soon as possible, and just to take my subpar margin, maybe a decent margin if pairs end up coming in fast enough for myself. I kept the Union 2s as a personal because I really like those, but I'm honestly not too big of a fan of these, so I probably won't be keeping a personal either. Let me know what you guys think about these, though. Also, just a note in general for anyone considering holding any items who does have low capital, you should never hold anything in general if you don't have sufficient capital to go for as many drops as possible at your full potential without holding back. If you need money to go for all drops, try to sell these as soon as possible. Let me know what you guys are doing with your pairs down in the comments below. Since this is a discussion at the end of the day, I can't predict the future. That's just my personal analysis based on the data that I've acknowledged. We have a lot of brilliant minds watching the video, so I implore you to leave your notions down in the comments below as well. But anyway, that will conclude it for today. You can feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, or perhaps if you learned a thing or two. And also remember that the limited endurance restock will take place on Friday, June 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Time via the Endurance Twitter. Make sure you set your alarms, subscribe, and enable post notifications. This way you stay 100% updated on all hyped releases. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast, residential proxies, and also feel free to check out Gargantua on Twitter if you want to keep up with the progress or restocks. And last but not least, make sure to follow Keith Adam 10 and Personals for you. This way you guys stay updated on all urgent info like I was discussing today. With that though, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck on the drop, or if you already copped, congratulations.